Hey everybody, Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich here. I want to do a quick update on what's heading our way next weekend because between now and then, the weather is going to be amazing. So there's really no weather concerns until we get to next weekend, and it's all about the tropics, believe it or not. So let's go right to the satellite image. We have two tropical storms right now. One is Tropical Storm Gamma, which is this thing up here. You see it spinning off the Yucatan Peninsula. That's less of a threat. That is going to move over the Yucatan Peninsula and likely dissipate in the next couple of days. This is Tropical Storm Gamma. This poses a much bigger risk to the U.S., especially the Gulf Coast, and eventually is going to bring us some rain going into the weekend because this is going to move off to the north and west and move over an environment that's pretty favorable for developing the storm further. In fact, I do think it's going to become a hurricane here, maybe as soon as Wednesday or even sooner, depending on how it gets its act together, because it's starting to look like it's organizing quite well. Let's start with Gamma first. I know this looks really messy, but this system is a mess because it is. It's just been sheared apart by dry air and southwesterly shear, so it's actually going to probably get dissipated in the next couple of days. It might even get absorbed into the energy of Delta down the road, but really, you don't really need to worry about Gamma at this point because Delta is a much bigger issue. You can see the track here. So moving basically between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba, going over very warm water, and then it gets to the coast, it gets to cooler water. The amount of weakening is still a little questionable because it just depends on how strong it gets over the Gulf of Mexico before it starts to move inland. But then it moves northeast and weakens. But remember, this moisture eventually is going to be heading towards the Carolinas. So we're going to eventually see some rain this upcoming weekend. The amount of rain and the duration is still a little questionable. Is it going to be fast moving, slow moving? And we've got a couple fronts to interact with this system that we need to talk about. So let's go to this view. You can see the two systems and then moving to the north and east. And I'm going to put on the model plot here. This is the consensus plot. So if you look at the consensus plot, it kind of shows that movement and eventually passing over the Carolinas as a remnant low this weekend. So this would be basically Sunday morning. This would be Sunday night, and then moving off the coast on Monday morning. So we could have a pretty soggy weekend around here depending on this track, but also a couple other factors that we need to talk about. All right, so let's talk about the long-range forecast of these two. So you can see the low pressure associated with Gamma there. This is Delta. Now, this is the GFS model, which has actually been doing really good this tropical season, much better than the European model, believe it or not. I'm going to go into the future here. We'll go through the day tomorrow, and we'll get into the afternoon. Notice how Gamma kind of falls apart. It might get absorbed into Delta. I mean, that's certainly a possibility, but it's certainly not going to last much longer because you kind of see it kind of falls apart. The moisture probably does get entrained or moved into Delta, but there's Delta, and you can no longer really discern where Gamma is. It's just done as the moisture gets pulled into Delta and it becomes a dominant storm. Looks a lot like the Laura Marco setup. Remember, everyone's like, oh, these two are going to dance around each other, and they don't never form a megastorm. That's not the way it works. One storm always weakens and dissipates, and maybe the moisture gets entrained, and Marco fell apart, and Laura became the dominant storm. And that's kind of what we're looking at here. This is going to be Delta. It's going to become the dominant storm, and Gamma's going to go away. So we'll go through the middle of the week, likely over some really warm water here, so its chance of intensification is going to be highest right in here, which is always the case. That's a very hotbed for development. Then it moves to the north. Now, for the Carolinas, let me talk about a couple things. We got high pressure over the Great Lakes. Watch these things interact. This is why there's still some uncertainty about what happens over the Carolinas. We're going to get an arrival on the Gulf Coast probably sometime on Thursday and Friday. But you see this high pressure? This is high pressure to the north and east. So the winds are coming like this, and you can actually see this front. There's basically going to be some kind of wedge front here with the tropical moisture interacting with it. So there's a lot of moving parts here. It's just not, hey, we've got a tropical system, we're going to get rain. No, we've got probably three things that got to come together to dictate how much rain and how long it lasts. So we'll go through Friday, and then we start getting closer to Saturday. Notice what's going on. Here's our tropical storm, Hurricane Delta. Here's our high pressure system. So we're kind of, we've got calm, dry air being pushed in, warm, moist air trying to get pushed north. So somewhere in here, there's going to be a front. And where that front sets up is going to really determine who sees heavy rain. I don't think we're going to see rain at all until Saturday. And as we go into Saturday morning, you'll see that the rain starts to spread into the Carolinas. Now, if that wasn't enough to deal with, we've got a front to the northwest that's going to try to sweep in here. So we've got three moving pieces here to kind of forecast 6 to 7 days out. That's why we know it's going to rain this weekend. It's just a matter of how much and where and how long. But you can see as the system moves through, this is going through Saturday, the heaviest rain's over in Tennessee, but I would caution you, if we have a southerly flow with this thing wrapping around the remnant low, the mountains of North Carolina certainly are going to see some pockets of very heavy rain Saturday into Sunday. Now, the question is how long into Sunday, because we've got this second front coming in right here. You can see it showing up on the map. We'll go into time, and it's going to move down and try to push this out. So how quickly does that happen on Sunday into Monday? But you could see it looks pretty quick because the heaviest rain starts to shift east pretty quickly. And we know, even though we have lingering rain, the tropical moisture looks like it gets shoved off the coast pretty quickly late Sunday into Monday. And then by Monday, this thing's long gone. So that's why there's still some questions about how much rain. Certainly going to be a cold, windy couple of days here with that northeast wind and that high pressure system in the area. And then the tropical moisture comes in briefly, it looks like on Monday. So we could see a big jump in dew points and temperature before all this mess moves out. A quick look at the 7-day forecast for rainfall. Again, this only goes through Monday morning. So far, we're looking at maybe 2 to 3 inches. And again, this is probably underdone depending on how things unfold. We talked a lot about that warm water in the Central Gulf, but this is the point that it can intensify as it gets closer to the coast. It could weaken. So those are other factors we're going to have to take into account as we get closer to the weekend. But the news is right now, we've got time to watch both of these systems. It's not something that's going to happen this week. It's going to happen this weekend into early next week. And there they are. Today, we've got mostly sunny skies and gorgeous conditions. So over the next couple of days, I will post updates, but just count on if you have outdoor plans this weekend, it's likely going to rain. It's really just a matter of how much and for how long.